got a friend in you, I know you are so. You are my confidant, you are my closest friend. You are mine.
Welcome to your very interesting and most favorite program, Jamie and You. Today we have a very interesting topic to discuss with you. Okay. It's just a continuation from the last program. This time around, we're looking at the right of women to property that has been acquired in marriage. In other words, if there is a divorce, or if it is the need of a partner, do a woman have a right to anything that is acquired during marriage? To me again today, I have Barrister Bukola Ogunlade. Barrister Ogunlade, you're welcome to this program. Barrister Ogunlade is a legal practitioner from the legal unit of University College Hospital and is a legal and ethics expert. You're welcome again. Thank you. We're looking at this very interesting topic. In our culture, most people don't see themselves, especially women, having any rights. And then we're looking at this. What about what they acquire together in marriage? Does the woman have a right? Does the wife have a right to property that is acquired, in other words, during marriage?
Yes and no. This is a continuation. So like I said earlier, we have over 450 tribes that make up Nigeria as a whole. And for each of these tribes, they have peculiarities as far as the norms and values of their lands are concerned, which are basically governed by social and religious considerations. Now, we also have marriages contracted under the Act, which is the statutory marriage. Okay, now we are talking about rights of women to property in the course of a marriage. Yes. But there are some cases where the woman doesn't have a right. And I will cite the instance of Igbo land. The Igbo people, with due respect to Igbo land, they have their custom to a very large extent relegate womanhood. And they believe, well, let me say in the past, because it's gradually being eroded now. In the past, women were considered chattels, goods. You own them and do whatever you want to do with them. But right now, it's being eroded, like I said, but it's still not where it should be, especially when we consider relevant international treaties that we have over the years ratified as a nation. In Igbo land, a woman cannot own immovable property. And when I say immovable, a house. When I say well, something like that. But when I say immovable, I'm more or less particular about real estate, land.
Okay.
And yes, houses are immovable, so it will form part of it. But movable items, depending on the particular, because Igbo land is wide, and we have various cultures come up, even in Igbo community. So there are some cases where that, and they cannot sue. They cannot be sued. But this is not typical of a Yoruba community. We recognize the right of the woman to sue and be sued because she's more or less a person duly recognized under the law. And that is in the case of customary marriages.
What about statutory marriage?
Statutory.
Either it is Yoruba land or Igbo land or Hausa land, statutory marriage.
Yes, which permeates, yes, please. It permeates the aspect of Nigeria.
Okay.
And I will say, and gladly so too, that in any marriage, any subsisting marriage, they have equal rights to property. There is a peculiarity though. There are times where you go out and you say, okay, I want to buy this. You bring it to the house. You read your name.
Okay.
The other one reads the name of whoever buys it. Now you are not talking of splitting or fighting for who gets what if divorce doesn't come into play. Do you get it? So I would say jointly they both own properties that they acquired in the course of marriage or that were before that marriage.
So we're saying with a woman that is married customary, she has a limitation to property acquired during marriage or before marriage.
Yes, it is.
So in other words, if I bring in my property into a marriage and our marriage is customary, my husband can actually take everything away from me.
Because he has you, and likewise all that you have, customarily.
Wow, that is a big one.
It's a bit unfortunate.
Okay, so for statutory marriage now, what are my limitations? If there is any.
I will say in my own opinion that if a marriage is still subsisting, then there's no point talking about who gets what, because it is jointly owned by both the man and the woman. But where the marriage contract has reason to end or terminate, and there are two major ones, at the demise of either party and at the instance of divorce.
Okay.
If it happens that way, the general rule that the court of the land will adopt under marriages contracted under statutory marriages is that they stamp a 50-50. So once you have a 50, she has a 50. If that marriage was contracted under the act. But there are certain cases where you now discover that for some of these properties, it was in the course of marriage acquired by the woman or by the man. If you have relevant documentation to that effect, if there's anything evidencing that, then it may become subject to the discretion of the court. It's 70-30, but it's not that the woman will go devoid of proprietary rights.
Okay, statutory marriage. We're saying yes, but it should be 50-50. As it is the length of a man, what do I need to say 50-50 again? Who is taking the other 50? When you're saying 50?
No, I'm sorry. I answered that question generally.
Oh.
Now you have narrowed down the scope of the court. Now if it happens that the man passes on,
Okay.
he dies intestate, that is without securing or without having a will,
Okay.
then the woman takes or holds in trust for the children. She has rights to that property the way the man ordinarily would have had that right if he were to be alive.
Okay.
But there are times when you bring in customary rules again, depending on where you are from. And the law, unfortunately, takes cognizance of your community, your immediate locality. Now, if it happens that where you come from, your husband's relations have a hold or they have a right to that property, then it becomes more controversial.
I was just going to take you up on that. That what about the rights of the in-laws? Do they really have a right? Especially if your marriage is conducted under customary, under statutory marriage. If we're not talking about customary, but anyway, like we said earlier, almost all marriages in Nigeria have both customary and statutory. But does the in-law part comes into effect with this too?
In actual fact, both laws or both types of marriages are recognized, but one supersedes the other.
Okay.
And that is marriages contracted under the act. And that is why I will advocate for that kind of marriage anytime, anyhow, even after you might. Yes, please, because your interest, particularly the interest of women, is more catered for than in the case of customary laws. Now, where we talk marriages contracted under the act, no, in-laws are not even seen, except that man dies testate. And when I say testate, he has made a will.
I'll come back to you on that. We need to take this short break. And when we come back, we'll come back to that same question because there's still a lot to look into on that question. Viewers, we're just going to the town now to see what we really need to do. what your views are, what the view of your neighbor is on this particular issue. I will come back. And again, don't forget that we're on Facebook. Tammy and you on Facebook, you can pass your comments, you can write anything you like on it. And then you also watch as we do things on this show. We have content screening, which will have our phone number. You can phone to just say anything you want concerning this show. We'll be back.
You as a woman, do you think you have the right to
acquire property?
Yes, sure. If there is a divorce or a separation and your husband says just go out the same way you came in, will you fight for your right?
Well, like I said the other time, I don't have this. I never imagined it in my head that I will get to that point of no return and I will pack out of my house. No, I won't. Because the day I say I do, it is for better for what. So even if you bring 10 women extra into that house, we'll live together. I'll only be the queen of the house. That's me. And like I said the other time, you go your way, I go my way. Don't
what if you say pack your things out of the house?
Okay, if you now say pack your things out of the house, then I know that it's like this contract no longer holds. He doesn't want me anymore. If he doesn't want me anymore, I go my way.
And you don't have a right to the properties we acquired together?
I believe I have rights to properties we acquired together. So what we'll do is we share properties.
What if he says no?
Will
you take him to court?
No. I won't take him to court. You see, the fact that we don't document things, that's why women always end up being victims when it comes to issues like this. No matter how much we love between us, we should be able to document things. We are building together, we are making some payments, we are getting receipts, I'm making payments, I'm getting receipts. So at the end of the day, we should be able to say X naira from A, X naira from B. We should be able to say that, and if we have that already, then if we have to go our different ways, just like in any enterprise, in any partnership or anything like that, we just look at the books. What is your contribution? And that's so be it. But I think we have this bad culture, or let me put it, that we in Nigeria, in Africa, we are not protecting the women. If it's abroad, a woman does not have to start racking her brain trying to do all that. She knows that there is a provision for her according to the law. But that's one thing I think the women in Africa should start fighting for.
Oh yes, I believe in when there is separation among the couple, the wife should have part of the property because both of them they work for it, and it shouldn't be one part having everything. They must, by the time they are leaving each other, they must let both of them pass all over together. It shouldn't be one part carrying everything. Let the wife too have the share, equal share. If I'm becoming like that, equal share. Account is only on his name, and both of us are working together. I'm not an outside queen, and it's not the only one bringing the money into the account. So legally, both of us. What if he's the only one bringing money into the account? What if he's the only one that is working and you're a housewife? If no matter what, we must both have the equal rights.
All right. Yes. That's lovely. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome back, viewers. I'm sure you had another time because on the street. I'm sure very similarly I've had interesting time, on the road with them. We're back to the same question about in-laws. We say, what right do in-laws have to property acquired during marriage? Because already we were talking about the women, what right they have in all the properties that have been acquired during marriage, especially at the needs of the partner.
I wouldn't like to adopt a uniform or blanket description of what obtains because under customary law it varies.
Okay.
But under statutory marriages, the right of a man is the right the woman has to properties acquired once marriage was contracted. The law does not make provision for in-laws except the man dies tested. And when I mean tested, I mean leaving a will behind that this property should go to this person, this property should on that because is incapacitated. But where he dies intestate, Since both of them enjoyed the contractual benefits while owners, at his demise, it devolves to the woman. The very worst case scenario is that she now holds it in trust for the husband, but without the permission of the woman and the children, in-laws don't have a say on the property.
Okay. What about in customary marriage?
It also differs. What obtains in Igbo land is different from what obtains in Hausa land. It's also different from what obtains in Yoruba. In Igbo land, I will solicit a complete overhauling of the customary practices that they have there, because most often than not, it's something I classify as bastardized with due respect to Igbo people. And I think because this is we are fast approaching, I won't say we are yet at death age, but I would say we are nearer death age than, so we should look for ways of upholding or promoting the human rights of these women, because they are not cartels. They used to be seen as that. They are no longer cartels, they are human beings who have rights. And these rights are protected even internationally. There's global recognition of these rights.
Maybe one other thing we can advocate is for every woman from such culture to also have a legal backing. In other words, they should not just stay with just customary law. They should go as far as having statutory marriage.
That's right.
So that way they will be protected.
Better protected. Better protected. They will enjoy better protection than if it were to be, because you have recourse to your own.
I know. We've had a situation before where the man died and the in-law came in almost immediately, packed all the things that belong to the woman in a way, as if came and addressed it, and said she has to leave the house. Especially in this particular case, she had no children. So as far as they're concerned, everything that belongs to the man belongs to them, not to her. She has no right to anything, nothing at all in the home.
Their customs permit that. But if you were to be married contracted under the act, she can sue them. And that one makes the difference.
So I think we are going into advocating for statutory marriage,
yes,
along with the customary. Definitely we are not going to forget our custom. But what we also advocate is that let's back it up with the law.
Because the law of the land, the major law of the land is the Constitution, and it is supreme. Every other law must be subject to the provisions of that Constitution.
Okay, so just say, is it the same thing with separation or divorce? That means the death of a husband, the woman having, property to occur, is it the same thing as when there is separation?
No, they are different. And the general rule that the court employs is a 50-50. If there's going to be divorce and it's a marriage properly recognized as legal, they have a 50-50. Although there are cases where, as far as the court is concerned, there may be some sort of discretionary measures put in place.
So we're talking about legal backing. The question is, what we have actually talked more on is the needs of the partner. What about a situation where both partners are alive, but they have to be separated? There is a divorce, for instance. What happens to the property acquired by both in marriage? Remember, we're talking about property acquired by both in marriage. What right does the woman have?
In law, we have general rules and we have exceptions. The general provision for that is a 50-50. At the instance of a divorce, then both parties have a right to 50-50 of the property acquired in the course of that marriage. But there are times when you just discover some other things crop up, and these are, the court may tend to look at who bought what, especially if it becomes controversial.
Okay.
One may get up to say, but I bought this and I bought that, and it wasn't with his money, it was with my money.
Maybe you just take us to what we're trying to look at again. If you're a foreign woman, then what rights do you have? What rights do you have to any of this property? either because of divorce or because of the death of the partner. Do you have any right at all?
If you are a foreign woman and you are a citizen of the land, as in citizenship by registration,
Okay.
that is in section 26 of the Constitution of the land, and you have acquired that citizenship, you have the same rights as a woman born and bred in Nigeria. It is automatic once that is happened.
Okay. What if you are a foreign man and you're married, you move to Nigeria, your wife is dead? Do you have the right to have her?
No, you don't.
Wow.
Except it's unfortunate. That's an area of the law that I'll love Nigerians to look into. It needs a bit of reform, because just as we say we discriminate against women, you can discriminate against men too. And in the light of this particular question, I would say there's discrimination against women.
In other words, what our land is doing is, if you want to take our daughter away, fine, but you don't have a right to her body. After death, you don't have a right to her property, even though you come to my country. Do they even have a right to this green pass?
They have. They do, but the procedure is rather cumbersome. They acquire citizenship by naturalization.
Okay.
They acquire citizenship by naturalization. And the issue of passport can only come in if they are advocating for dual citizenship. In that case, they may not be obliged, which is different from that of the woman, the position of the woman.
So she will have to lose that.
Not
she,
the
man
man.
will lose his own passport. In other words,
If he desires that of Nigeria,
wow.
they have to relinquish owning her. Yes, please. So what I want to say now is, you can acquire citizenship by naturalization as a man,
okay.
But like I said, the procedure is cumbersome. It is one that the most important one is residing in Nigeria for 15 years continuously. In the alternative, within the space of 20 years, if it is an aggregate, it must be seen that you have spent not less than 15 years after you must have continuously resided in Nigeria for 12 months.
Okay. So within 12 months, you cannot travel out of the country.
Within 12 months. And after the 12 months, you may decide to go and come, but the aggregate must amount to 15 years, not less.
Wow,
then it must be seen.
That is a serious one on the neck.
That's about the most tedious
What
of
about
all.
the children? In the death of a partner, now either a female or a male, whoever is Nigerian, does the foreigner has rights to those children, or are the children, recognized as Nigerian children, they must?
No, the foreigner has
every right.
Every right to.
So a woman who is a foreigner can decide to take her children back with her.
I mean, nobody will raise any eyebrows, even the laws of the land.
Okay. Well, we've been able to cover a verse thing today, talking about the rights of the woman, and at the same time, we didn't leave the men out of it. We are saying, even if you're a foreign man, do you have the right? We know Nigerian men have rights, but for a foreign man, do you have the right to take everything that belongs to both of you away from her, or away from the family once she's dead? And sorry to say, she doesn't. Or that's something for us to think about again. Viewers, I hope you remember to join me on Facebook. So just pass a comment, let us know how you feel about this particular topic. And then anytime you can give us a call. You can join Kelly and you on Facebook. At the same time, you can actually send your email to our email address, which will be scrolling on our screen. Please join us next time as we bring to you a very interesting topic on Kelly and you. Thank you. God bless.
Got a friend in you, I know you are so. You are my confidant, you are my closest friend. You are my